Very thankful for you, Jen. All right. So we're all set. We're recording now. I assure anyone watching this recording, I welcomed everyone. It was an amazing intro. And then Jen saved my life, telling me to actually start the recording. So very excited to be here with everyone to talk about visual thinking routines with Adobe Express. So for this web page deck, I dropped it in there for you. You can also use this Adobe link. I'll drop that in just in case as well. And you are logging in either with Clever, going to that black background with the rainbow gradient A, or you can simply sign into the Adobe Express homepage and log in that way. So this is like the main hub for like how it's almost structured on a broad sense. So when you're in on this web page and you see this girl on the left side poking through that red frame, you're then going to select the button that says Review Today's Training. And I already had this open, but I'll close that one down. And you should see this young individual with his head poking through a frame as well with the red background, okay? So very brief introduction. We're going to turn learning into cinema and transform a standard lesson into a short silent film, proving that when students show, not tell, their ideas stick, their voices shine, and their stories drive learning forward. So we can go all the way back to like the cave people days of like painting on the side of a cave wall, telling those stories of what was going on in their tribes and their cultures, you know, to moving it all the way up to today. Are we trying to hook our kids with more visual learning experiences? I could speak personally as a grade 8 math teacher. The more in-depth I went with diverse and creative infographics for my kids to learn different math concepts, the better they did. The more that I asked them to use their voice, the more pride and work they showed, the more serious they took it. So that agency can just kind of be elevated by using these templates within Adobe Express. So in this session, more specifically, you're going to understand why visual stories stick, grasp the brain science that boosts engagement and recall. We're going to build a polished silent film with Adobe Express stock clips, text cards, and background audio. And you're going to create a second short video interviewing yourself as a character. Okay, so one is going to be strictly kind of a video template, and one is going to be almost a presentation with animations. And if that sounds very foreign to you, by the end of this, you should be good to go. So we're going to get started just by kind of talking about the rationale as to why visual storytelling is important. And I'm not going to go through this too in depth because you can kind of look into this along with the additional resources after the fact if you like. But it's really just having it where it makes learning stick in the heart, head, eyes, and then with that transfer aspect. I mean, I'm always going to go back to my time as a teacher of students. Their ability to retrieve something, even midway through a class period after I taught them, was of primary importance. Because if they didn't remember it then and had to kind of bring it back, they would lose it over time. So character-driven stories spark empathy, motivating learners to engage deeply and take action on the content. So when they're using their voice, when they're using tools that allow them to be more imaginative, they're putting their heart into it. That agency that I mentioned before, I knew it was going to come out sooner than later. It's going to elevate for them. But in addition, there's actually like a chemical, physical science behind suspense and surprise. When you engage others, dopamine is released, focusing that sharpness of memory and releasing endorphins to boost creativity. So I hope you're all kind of engaged, and maybe left in suspense might be a bit too much with this session today. But at the same time, if we can create a story that keeps people, so to speak, on the edge of their seats, that's going to make them even more engaged and allow them to then remember what you were actually sharing with them. And this is a tool that does so in spades. The eyes. You're going to have imagery make concepts 60,000 times faster to grasp than text. Almost sounds made up, but you could see there's actually cited research to say that if I look at an image compared to just reading a wall of text, I'm going to be able to take in that concept 60,000 times faster visually. And finally, storytelling is a strategic tool for students to showcase learning and share their resilience. When we put tools in kids' hands that allow them to share their voice in a way that is meaningful to them, that's where we really get those interesting shares in the best possible way. And I can speak to getting to know me activities with Adobe Express that were video related before the video editing had all these bells and whistles. I could speak to identity graphics that my kids made, that they were just excited to share more about themselves in this in a way that was comfortable and engaging to them and their peers. So I assure you, as far as a teenager grade level goes, engagement with this tool through the roof. Elementary I've seen firsthand, and high school as well. So regardless of content area or grade level, your kids will enjoy exploring this platform and collaborating on it and displaying that creativity that so many different places of work are looking for out of our new incoming workforce. So you can see right here, this is an infographic that instead of me just putting bullet points and stuff like that, the Adobe for Education team created this visual that kind of summarizes the previous slide. Now, to me, I know for one thing, I'm able to take the main points out of this much faster, maybe not 60,000 times faster, but maybe with the neurons in my head, possibly. But this is an example of how visual representation of thinking can allow for easier understanding and more visual understanding, whereas that word earlier, it sticks. So again, for me personally, when I was in that math class, I was creating both video content and infographics within Adobe Express that were either scannable with a QR code that my kids could then take away. The video options that we're going to share with you today are so much more in-depth and helpful to be able to make dynamic content, and I hope you feel the same way by the end of today's session. So I'm going to make sure that everybody also has this secondary web page. This is the one that you should have clicked on the button on the original to get to. But when you get to this young person with this festive frame around him and this silent movie countdown on the right, that is going to be our first activity. So you're going to direct your silent short film. Now, the main expectations as far as actions, they are right here underneath. So basically what you're going to do as far as instructions go is you're going to tell the story of what forever changed you as a teacher using this guided activity. You are not being held to that. If you would like to create something that is more specific for your content area relating to a historical figure or anything else that would be more appropriate for your class using this silent film template, you are more than welcome to do that. So there's going to be 3 parts of story text that we're going to replace. We're going to use Adobe stock footage of video to kind of replace these little clips that have this very grainy type of effect. And then we're also going to show you how to publish your video. And Adobe Express has also recently changed the idea of, it used to use another platform to curate everybody's different designs. They're not doing that anymore. So what I would love, I believe they're still giving away some very primo swag for individuals who participate, whether it be in the chat or sharing designs or otherwise. We're going to show you how to create a share link with your video. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to have you drop them in the chat if you're looking to participate at that level. And I assure you, if you participate at that level, if I can get you some swag, I will do everything I can to do so and talk to the great people over at EdgeGain to make sure you get that. Okay. So when you're on this area of the web page where I just dropped the link into the chat, you're going to click that button right up top. Now, you want to watch the example of the short film. Once I'm done kind of showing you the steps to change the text and the video, you're more than welcome to do so. But for now, click on that direct your own silent short film button. And I could fully appreciate that this could be like a little bit intimidating when we come right in. Now, again, this is kind of an intermediate session. So I'm going to try to go as slow as I can. We have plenty of time, 2 hours left to really kind of give you that time to gain that competency. But the first real thing that I want to share with you is that idea of, on this right side, this is what is called a guided activity. And really quickly, before we really get into this template, from the main Adobe Express homepage, if you go to the Educator Resources tab all the way in the bottom left, all of these different examples that you can break down by subjects and or grade level have those video instructions built right in for you and your students. Now, not every activity will have these, but if it's under guided activities, you will have, as you saw, these embedded video directions right with your design template. Now, as soon as you come into your design template, the first thing I recommend doing, good practice while using Adobe Express, you'll notice all the way up top, that you see that untitled July 24th, 2025, 1616.51. That's actually the time and date that you created your first, like you remixed the template at first. So I always recommend telling people kind of double clicking up top, deleting that default title that says untitled. And I'm going to say Alex's silent movie. Okay. And then make sure you hit enter and it should save. Just so we get this out of the way, got this question a couple times in the previous session. Everything in Adobe Express automatically saves. As long as you see that cloud icon next to your title up top, that means that your most recent action has saved. Okay. So really what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you once what to do, and then I'm going to let you all kind of work for a good deal of time. You're going to have a good chance to ask questions, share your screen if you like, and anything else that comes up. So I'll give everybody a moment to jump over to this activity one more time. Just click on that direct your silent short film button right here to the right of this colorful frame and above that countdown. And once you get in, retitle it with something more specific. Now, again, we're preferably talking about something that changed our teaching career. But if you'd prefer to do something different that's more, contextualized for your content area, you're more than welcome to do that. So what you see underneath here are all these different like pages or scenes, whatever you want to call them. And we can kind of scroll around and see that some have videos involved and some have text. You'll also notice underneath that there's this green bar. Now, unfortunately, because I've got different accounts sharing my screen compared to where I'm on Adobe, you're not going to hear the music. But if you just hit play out there at home, maybe you hear remnants of it through my computer, probably not. You'll get this very old-timey song that sounds like it's directly from the aughts, and I'm talking like the 19-aughts. So that music is built right in. At the end of everything, I'm going to show you how to change that if you don't want that traditional silent film music. So that's the first thing. You already have music built in. We're going to click on that first scene, and we're obviously not doing the three little pigs here. So I'm now going to double-click on that three little pigs text, and that's going to highlight it and allow me to edit it. So I'm going to say Alex's teacher story. You can title it whatever you want. You can be as creative, alliterative, whatever you like, okay? So we're simply changing the text on the title page right here, and then we're going to show you the scene cards as well. And for anybody who's following along out there, maybe I'm going a little too quick with the Jersey, New York accent. Simply double click on your text and it should highlight everything. If it's only getting that middle, you can then click and drag over the text and then change that. One thing that I always like to share with people is that when you click on the drop down, when you have text highlighted, Adobe Express actually shows you what the text that you typed will look like with those other fonts in place. Now, I'm going to try this one more time. For whatever reason, recommended fonts don't seem to be working quite right, but you do have all of these different options underneath. Now, I want to kind of keep this old-timey feel. I guess I could go with Adobe handwriting. I feel like that kind of has that old-timey feel. And if ever you do something that you don't like, this arrow right here that I'm hovering over, that's the undo button. So let's say, you know what, that script is a little too impersonal. I'm going to go back to this formal kind of italicized font. You could do that. So I'll give everybody a few moments to just change the film title. If you've done that successfully and you're feeling like, you know what, I don't have to wait, simply click on the next slide and edit that scene information and the three little pigs questionable building materials text. But I'm going to keep this here for a few more seconds. And then we're going to do two more steps to kind of show you what needs to be done. All right, so pretty similar on the next slide. Only difference is we're going to do a little bit more. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to X out of that tutorial video just so we can get a little bit more room. So I'm going to go scene 1. And I'm going to say Alex's, whoops, looks like we're going all caps, origin story. Okay, so I've changed that little more minute text underneath scene 1. And then I'm going to scroll underneath, highlight this text, and I'm going to say Alex begins teaching, whoops, children golf. So my, roots of teaching was being a golf professional. Now, don't try me now with my golf game. It's, I could break 85 if I'm lucky. But back in the day, it was my main passion. Loved, hitting golf balls till my hands hurt. Played high school and college. So this was my start. I actually taught kids between learners with special needs, where I taught them the game from the ground up, or just going out to a golf course and just kind of being there with my bag and helping kids out that way. So I really kind of got started with this. Now, considering we're dealing with a silent short film, we've got to have some type of video piece, something that now flashes on the screen that's after the description that I just gave. And just one more thing before we get into the video component. If you want to bring a text box in, all you have to do is kind of hover over those handles on either side and kind of drag those in if that's bothering you being off the page. And you also have every option to highlight any portion of the text and increase or decrease the font size. Okay. Going to go to the next slide. Now, you'll see that this was meant to represent the three little pigs, most likely building a house made out of sticks. Okay. I doubt that we have a Adobe stock footage clip that has pigs building a house made of sticks. And unfortunately, not quite at that point to make something pronounced with video generation with AI. However, what you can do is I can click on this video right here on the screen. And why is it not giving me the opportunity to replace? Okay, so for some reason, the replace button isn't showing up, but I assure you, if you right click on the video, you will see all the way up top on that pop-up menu, the replace option. Okay, so I'm going to click on that. And now you're going to search from the videos right over there. So now I'm going to say golf. Now, underneath, you get those little black pop-up windows in the top left, or the little pop-up ovals in the top left corner that show you how long the clip is. But if you look underneath at this video clip under here, you're only going to see your video for as long as the scene is underneath. That's the trickiest part of editing video on Adobe Express. If you do not have your scene underneath, this black and white part, be as long as the video, it's going to get cut off at a certain point. So I'll show you what happens if I drag this to the right. You see how more of that video kind of comes into play? I don't know where it just went. I'm going to undo that. But that is how you can do so. So when you click on that video and you extend that part of it, you'll get more of the video within that portion of your scene. Okay, so I want to make sure that that's kind of clear. But the way we go about replacing it, we click on the video, we right click, go replace, and now I'm going to select one of these. So I always like the videos of the people kind of putting and then the ball goes into the cup. But you know what, in this case, this kind of almost looks like a child playing golf, although I think it's a grown-up maybe. I don't know. It's close enough. And now simply by clicking on that new Adobe stock video footage, it is automatically having that vintage kind of feel applied to it, where now if I go underneath and hit play again, I mean, that was perfect timing. It actually faded to black to the next scene as the ball was going into the cup. So that's really what you're doing. You could see that we come to the next scene. You would edit your text in both aspects, both the kind of like context and then the title. And then we go to the next page and you would have a wolf to now right click, go replace, and then add in that new video component. So really, that's all we're doing. We are replacing the videos and we are editing the text. So I've shown you how to change the font, kind of change the layout of the text. I've also shown you how to replace the videos. I think you really have everything you need to kind of now really explore this video editing tool. So I'm going to try to be a little bit quiet here. If you have any questions, feel free to drop them in the chat or hop off of mute. But I would love to be able to see some great video remixes that kind of share your teacher story. So I'm going to be working on mine as everyone else is. and I'm going to set a timer for 20 minutes for everybody, where if at the end of that we still need a little extra time, I'm happy to give it to you, okay? So please let me know if I can assist. We'll give you 22 minutes just because it's a video template. Those can get a little complicated. Okay. So again, for the video, right click, hit that replace option up top on the pop-up menu. To change any text, just simply double click and you're ready to go. And near the end of this time to create on this video template, what I'll do is I'll show you how to add a voiceover, where if you wanted to add any context, even though we're making a silent film, I'm not going to actually recommend doing it, considering that completely changes the genre. But I will show you how you can add that narration piece within a video template. Jen, how aware were you of the guided activities and all that? I would assume you were pretty aware of them. Have you had any teachers give them a try yet? Did we lose Jen? Could be. So for my next one, to replace the wolf, I'm just simply typing in classroom. It will automatically pull up videos for you. I'm going to choose this one right here of kids kind of raising their hands. I got started in an ELA classroom at grade 5. And just for the record, if there is anybody out there who's kind of wondering, well, how are they getting this effect? What they did was they set like a video background of like a static television almost. Then they layered another video on top of that. And then if you click on the video templates that they've already put into Starter, this is actually one I edited. You'll see this opacity button right here. And if we're not familiar with opacity, it's how see-through or transparent something is. This is put to a 60, so you kind of get that gray factor coming through as well. And they also went into effects and went grayscale. If I go none, you could see that color kind of come back to life. So whatever you apply to the template designs, that's going to be brought over to anything that you change or replace within that design. Hopefully that made sense.
I'm sorry, Alex, I missed that what you just said. Can you say one more time, please? How to undo something that you didn't like?
If you did something you don't like, right above next to this little % view options is this undo button, which is the backwards arrow that's curved. That's the one you want to click on, Jose.
Thank you.
You got it. Anytime. And things can get a little wonky sometimes in a video template. So that undo button right above margins, that's one to keep in mind for yourself. Again, if anybody needs any assistance, wants to drop how this template could be useful in their classroom communities, would love to hear about it. For my friends out there who were, I think even some negative numbers were thrown in as far as competency with Adobe Express, I hope you're navigating the platform okay. Please keep me posted if you need anything. All right, we've got about 15 minutes left. For anybody out there looking to change the music, you don't like that swanky kind of sound that's going on with the default green bar underneath, simply click on it, hit your delete button. You'll notice that you just get a gray rectangle underneath. So now it's truly a silent film. Now there's absolutely no noise going on here. However, if you want to bring in a new bit of music, any sound effects, go over to media. Over on the left side, you'll see that little pop-up window of the child riding piggyback right there. So media, then go to audio. And this is where you can record a voiceover if you choose to do so. I'm going to try to keep this as a traditional silent film. However, I can now go old time as my music search. Oh, that didn't show up anything. All right, let's go swanky. This is really tough. This is very rare that this hasn't worked for me. All right, let's go trumpet. All right, I knew that that one would do it. Now you can see that there are actual Asian elephant squeak sound effects. Okay, so as you keep scrolling along though, you do get different types of music. So you can preview anything by clicking that play button. You see the style of music underneath, and you also get the length. Let's say that you like one, but it's not appropriate for this design. You can always click that little heart button for favorites right there in the top right corner of whatever music you're looking at. Okay? So you feel free to change the music at any time, and you're ready to go. All right, still plenty of time to work on your video templates.
Alex, one question real quick.
Sure, Jose.
I'm not finding what I'm looking for in the search box in Adobe Express.
Okay.
Is there a way to export an image from outside Adobe Express onto these slides?
Yes, you can do that. In order to bring in an image outside of Adobe stock or anything like that, you simply go over to the left side and select media. And if you're under all, just go upload from device, and then wherever it is on your device, as long as you double click on it, it will get brought into your design. Okay?
Thank you.
You got it, buddy. Good question. And I'll show everybody in the next activity, I'll show everyone a very quick tip that allows you to kind of cut and paste images very easily into Adobe Express. So I think my video template is good to go. I used fire to kind of represent my passion for teaching math back in the day. And then I'm going to be fancy. I'm going to go thin at the end, like the famous French films. I'll go that route. And just for the record, any instance where you see these like double little play buttons in between two scenes, that means that there's a transition included, okay? And if you click on that one, you will actually see the transition that is involved. One more thing, for whatever reason, Adobe Express loves making the default volume of music be very loud. If you want to click on that green bar for music and bring that down to maybe about 10%, you can even go fade in and out if you want to kind of not be so abrupt with the music. That's a great option. So simply click on that green bar, drop the volume down a little bit. Listeners will be thankful for that. So I'm just previewing my video over here by dragging that playback kind of bar to the front and now hitting the play button. All right, I'm liking how this came out. Now, again, I would love to hear from some of the people who felt like they weren't the most competent with this tool going into today's session at the beginning. Has kind of exploring the platform given you a little bit more confidence? Are we maybe elevating by 1/10 of a point or something like that? And if not, that's okay. But at this point, you know, if you have been able to edit the text and replace the video within this template, you're doing an amazing job of kind of keeping in line with the directions and doing more intermediate video template editing within Adobe Express. So very happy to hear that. I hope that's the case out there. Feel free to drop how you're doing in the chat. Always happy to help. You know what I can do? So considering this one was kind of off the cuff, I didn't get a chance to really, you know, change it for how I wanted. You can always go into your stuff within Adobe Express, and that will have everything that you've kind of created in here. So I believe I have my previous version that I took a little bit more time on. Why is that not allowing me to edit? Oh boy. All right, we're going back to this one. Okay. So once again, everything that I created was completely saved. I got all my different scenes set up underneath along with my music. Hopefully you kind of explored that ability to fade in and out the volume one more time. Just click on that green, hit in and out under the fade option. And again, my recommendation would be 10% or less when applying music to your designs. Just a time check, you got about 6.5 minutes left. And if at the end of that time, anybody wants to go a little bit extra, that works for me. If you feel like you're kind of finishing up on this design activity, you're more than welcome to explore a little bit more of the Learn or Educator Resources tabs. So when you're in on that Adobe Express homepage, you can always go to this bottom left corner to access the educator resources that all have those video instructions embedded right in. And then just for the record, the further left in this row or the further to the top, you will have the newer activities. This Create a Portrait Masterpiece is so new, it wasn't there yesterday, I don't think. So they're adding new guided activities basically monthly. And I'm going to show you this Animate Character tool soon enough today, and that's going to add even more creativity options for you and your students. And also, when you're replacing those videos, you don't have to necessarily do another video. When you click that replace option, you should see photos as well that you can also bring in. And if I just wanted to have this image of a golf course, I could do that too. So you're really not limited to only using video as far as the replace feature goes. Just a little side fact for anybody thinking about attribution. Some people do. All of Adobe stock footage is copyright infringement free and all fully able to be used with no copyright infringement. So you have a great option to kind of immerse kids in that digital citizenship piece of not taking work that's not their own and using it that way. So this is all Adobe stock, HD, photos, videos, all the above. So about a minute and a half left. I'll do a status check to see if that's going to be enough time for everybody. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you how to share this as a published link, because that way, if you do choose to share anything that you're creating in this session today between the video and the presentation, you'll be able to do so right in the chat. So I hope I get some takers on people willing to share their silent film. And we'll close out in about a minute here, getting into the next activity today. You'll also see that considering this is a video component that I've selected, you do have the ability to remove video backgrounds. It obviously works a lot better when you have a green screen or a very simple background compared to one that's very detailed. But you do have the opportunity to have even video backgrounds turn transparent, where regardless of your content area, could you picture a student doing a front-facing camera, removing their background and kind of being tucked away in the corner of a slide, really describing a math concept or a famous historical figure or a branch of government or anything along those lines? I believe that this would be a tool that they would want to use. And again, timer just went off. You do have that ability to collaborate, have students collaborate with one another in real time by clicking that share button and then adding their usernames to a specific design. Okay. So at this point, I hope that that was enough time. If you feel like the 22 minutes was a little bit too abrupt, I did my best to not be talking throughout the time so that you all had the opportunity to be creative. But if you're feeling good enough about your video template right now, I would love to have you share it in the chat. No pressure on anybody out there. I know we all have varying, degrees of comfort with this platform. But if you are deciding to share or would like to maybe share this with some of your colleagues for a goof or otherwise, we can click on that share button and now go, excuse me, let me go back, view only link. Scroll down and just select that create link. Now, one thing, if you had remixed this into a template that you feel, you know what, I don't want my kids to start with the one that came from Adobe Express. I want them to use my template as getting started. You can click on this allow others to remix tab, and that will make it where your design is actually able to be remixed if the link is shared with others. But in this case, I don't want to make it where this is going to be remixed. I simply want to be able to share it. So when I click on that view only link and then create link, it'll take a few moments. Let's see how quick. And what's nice is these view only files, you can see it right above the page 1 out of 1. It doesn't require a login. You don't have to have an account in order to view it. So if we were sharing this with families or students or anything along those lines, if the student projects were that good, I'm going to try refreshing once. And we'll try that share one more time. I had to do that earlier today as well. All right, let's go create link and let's see if this time it works. So hopefully if anybody out there is creating a link, would love to have you share it within the Google Meet chat. Hopefully it's working for you. I'm going to give this about 15 more seconds. If it's still not clicking over into a link, it's probably because there's a lot of video components and a lot of transitions, and it's probably got a little bit of weight to it, so to speak, as far as the amount of bandwidth being taken up. All right. Well, for whatever reason, I'm not having the luck of the view only link. I hope it's working better for you all out there. I'll give it another few seconds, see if it's going to kick over. If not, we're going to move on. And I can show you simply how to download it as an MP4 as well. All right, it's looking like it's not going to happen. So I'm going with the download feature. That is another option to you whenever you have an Adobe Express design. By default, it's going to give you the most appropriate file format to export it as. And you'll see in this case, MP4 is pre-selected. I can select download now. Hopefully this one begins to update. This is the most sad dead. Ah, there we go. Boy, I was getting really freaked out with the dead air and silence right there. Okay. Now, just for the, for your information, you're realizing that the download is taking a little bit of time because it's so extensive and it's got so many different parts. You are more than welcome to start another design within Adobe Express while you wait. So considering this one is all the way at 14% and kind of taking a bit of time considering the amount of animations, again, in video components, I'm going to kind of just leave this tab open at this point. And I'm going to get back to this web page that we had originally. Now, this is actually the most recent link within the chat. So if you're not here, feel free to click on that blue link within the chat and it'll bring you right in. So one more time, that was you editing a short video template. And once more, that is within the guided activity section under educator resources. So let's say I'm a math teacher. We had some math people out there. I'm going to go high school. You could produce a video biography of a famous mathematician, design a geometric garden, or visualize a math word problem. Now, those are the only guided activities. I scroll down one more time. These are brand new within the educator resources. You have illustrated math concept posters, math and sports, infographics, presentation templates all ready to go that are also standards aligned. So I would really encourage you, and you're going to have time near the end of this session to really explore to make stuff that fits what you're looking for you and your students in your class. All right, so we've got our download. We're getting there slightly. Still might try to do that share link when we get to the next one and you're all working on the template. All right. So that's going to download straight to your downloads. I dropped my email in the chat earlier. If anybody wants to email me, whether it be to share a creation or to just simply ask questions about the platform, you're more than welcome to do so. I'm isaacsedtech@gmail.com. Okay. Bear with me. I'm going to try one more time with the view only link. Hey, it's live now. Who would have thought? So for whatever reason, we didn't see it actually get populated. But once you do, you'll see that copy link button available. And now if I wanted to share this with everybody in here for you to view, I just dropped it in. And now you can all watch my little briefly created teacher story. Okay? Any questions out there? Quality of life concerns? Everybody doing okay at this point? All right. Love the thumbs up, Adrian. I appreciate that. All right. So look, we are back on our main web page. We're going to scroll down a little bit more. And now you're going to see this lady with the nice teeth over on the right side. And we're going to record a self-interview. Now you have two options on this one. You're going to either interview yourself, you're going to give answers for who you are, or you're going to do a character from a book, from historical life, anything that you want to do. So you have options as far as how you approach this. You're going to explore generative AI to create a character, and you're going to publish your video. So we didn't really hit up the generative AI piece in the previous design template. Now we are going to do so. If there was anybody within my previous session, they have experience with this, and hopefully they can drop some great tips in the chat if they like. So at this point, from the main web page, we're going to select Interview Yourself, and you're going to get brought into this very nice pastel kind of template right here. Okay. Now, again, the first thing that you have to decide on this one is, do I want this to be about me, or do I want to be coming from the perspective of a character? Any ELA writing teachers out there, think about what this could do for critical thinking and creativity with your students if they are actually speaking from the perspective of an influential story figure within the books you're reading or what you've been writing. And are they putting, inflection into their voice? Are they putting on different voices to kind of find that tone of that character? And how deep are they analyzing these individuals that they're trying to have an interview with within this design opportunity? Now, this is the tough part about like a presentation with animations. You'll see this little, and supposedly you can now like you can drag this slider in the bottom right corner if you want to kind of like increase not really the length, but the perspective of the scenes. So if you feel like this close is a little too small and you can't see anything, you can bring that slider to the right and make it a little bit more clear for you, okay? Now, the first thing we're going to do after we decide whether it's going to be a character from a book or it's going to be you is we're going to select this image over on the left side. Now, for the record, this image has been generated with AI, and we know that through Adobe Express because when I click on it and I go over to the left side, you'll see this generate image square with the meters kind of in the middle, okay? And I'm sure there might be one person who hasn't used at least design or AI in a generative sense to create an image. And once you click on that AI generated image, you're going to go to the left and click on generate image. And now you see up top this prompt box. So cartoon screen print of a young black girl with a wide brim hat reading a book in a garden. Now, usually you'll see parentheses around the aspects of the text that they want you to kind of focus in on to edit. But in this case, they're kind of giving you carte blanche. What do you want to kind of change this character image into? So I guess for me, earlier today when I was preparing for this, I did Charlotte from Charlotte's Web. So I'm going to kind of do that one again. So cartoon screen print of a friendly spider. So I've changed my prompt now to be a little bit more simple. And now I'm going to go underneath. You do have all of these different effects and styles for your generated images to come out as, excuse me. But I'm just going to keep it as art up top, okay? And I'm going to select generate after making that prompt more specified to me. And what you're going to see happen is 4 different images are going to pop up. Oh my gosh, some of those are nightmare fuel. I got to tell you, especially the one that came out of the first example. So considering I don't want to waste too much time, I'm going to go with that one, even though that is the most scary version of Charlotte from Charlotte's Web I've ever seen in my life. And what you're going to notice is if you click more and more to the right, you're going to see these different components pop up on the screen, like that heart and the circle in the bottom left corner and that star. And what those are these little purple dots above the scenes. Those are your individual elements that have been brought in. And here's the common thing that might be throwing some of you off once I let you go create, okay? What's going to happen is the element is only going to go this far. And when you get to this portion of the video, you see how that thing just disappeared? I'll do it one more time for you. See how that whole record your voice disappeared? That's because it was not as long. Let me go back. It was not as long as the scene underneath. Now, if I bring this back to the right and snap it to that rightmost edge, now when I preview it, you'll see that it went all the way through. Okay? So really what happens within this template is you get blue prompts on each page. So we showed you how to change the AI picture. One more time, if I lost anybody or I'm moving a little bit out of order, simply click on that image, click on this square on the left side with the rainbow background that says generate image and change the prompt to what you're looking for. If you're trying to describe yourself as the character you're going to interview, put in a description of yourself, and kind of experiment with the different options underneath. So we got the first page done. I kind of click on the middle of the scene over here, and you'll see that the first prompt is, how would you describe yourself in one sentence? Okay, and considering this is a picture of a hand with a light bulb and a gear, I don't like that. We're going to do the same replace option that we did on the previous page or previous activity. So click on that light bulb anywhere and click replace. This time I'm going to go photos, and let's go spider web. All right, and I'm going to go this one. Looks cool. Okay, I'm down with that one. Kind of goes with the aesthetic of the colors. But here's the thing. This is an interview. We have to make it where we're actually talking a little bit. So wherever you want that audio to kind of start, drag that bar to that part of the scene, okay? So I'm going to put it right there near the beginning. Now over on the left side, you'll see the media button, okay? We're going to click on media. And then you're going to select audio. Now in this case, I would recommend doing a voiceover. You have an MP3 file on your computer that is, I believe, 5 gigabytes or less in less than 2 minutes. You can upload from your device as well. But for today, I'm going to do record your voiceover. So I am Charlotte from Charlotte's Web. I believe I'm compassionate and intelligent. All right, here we go. Record voiceover. You'll get that the microphone you're using, you're going to get that drop down. If you have separate microphones, you can click on that. You'll get how loud you're talking. If I really start shouting, you might get some red. I'm not going to do that to anybody. And with enhanced speech turned on, you're going to get studio quality sound, regardless of kind of your device going on. So you can integrate that after the fact, but there's no reason why you shouldn't just throw that on when you're recording within the platform. So I'm going to record my introducing myself. How would I describe myself? Here we go. I'm Charlotte from Charlotte's Web, and I'm very intelligent and compassionate. Hit stop recording, and what you will notice now underneath, similar to that green music bar, and you'll see that it's actually enhancing my speech right now. You will see that this right here now is a voiceover. Now, again, I can't share audio, unfortunately, but if I hit play, boom, got it in where none of those animated elements got cut off at the end, and I was able to share more about myself. So I'm going to show you one more slide, and then as you're working, I'll show you a way to bring into like Google Images or stuff outside of Adobe Express very easily. So I'm moving on to the one with the ballerina. Not really appropriate for me with Charlotte's Web, but what I can do is I can click on that video. Now the replace button pops up, but you can right click one more time. And this time I want to bring Wilbur in. I want to bring Wilbur in. So I'm going to go pigs. And I'm going to say that this is going to be my Wilbur in this case. And if you got it where your video is a little bit cut off, you could double click on it and then drag it to where you want it to be visible. So now that pink gradient, or excuse me, that pink duotone has been applied to my pig right here. So what is my greatest strength? I would say my ability to write messages in webs, and it's allowed me to leave a lasting impact on others. So going back to media, go to audio and select record voiceover. My greatest strength is my intelligence, and it has helped me leave lasting impacts on my friends. Hit stop recording. Now, I forgot to drag back that bar to the beginning of this scene. So all you have to do now is click and drag that green over to this pink scene with the pigs up top, and you should be ready to go. Once again, I can hit preview with this play button. Beautiful. So just got it in again before some of those animations might have gotten cut off. So at this point, you're simply repeating the process, replacing the image or videos with something that's more appropriate for your character or yourself, And then this last option right here, this is another generative AI image where if you click on it and then select generate image, you will be able to edit this to fit your character's biggest wish. Okay, so I'm going to kind of be working on this one, or I actually might pull up my one that I did earlier on Charlotte's Web to show you. But at this point, you have the steps down as far as how to edit this presentation template. And I hope you take this time to really make this your own and make it unique. Okay. I'm going to give us another 20 minutes on this one. All right, let's give 20 minutes on this one. I did this one earlier in the week. It's a more in-depth one. You know, you're not only adding in those AI elements, but you're also adding in, you know, replace videos, Adobe stock footage, and you're using the generative AI feature. And again, anyone confused about generative AI on here, simply click on it, go over to generate image and change the prompt to fit your needs. All right. Anybody needs anything, drop your question in the chat, hop off of mute. I'm happy to help. Hope you're all enjoying the session so far, finding it valuable. So this is the one where I was actually able to take a little bit more time. You can kind of see that, you know, this is a little bit less intimidating of a generative AI feature or AI image. This doesn't look like a scary spider about to attack me. It actually has kind of that vibe of Charlotte's Web a little bit. That's what I was kind of going for. Really quick, if there's anybody out there who is looking to bring in an image outside of Adobe Express, they're looking to do something a little bit more personalized. What I can show you is if you open up a new tab and you search for your specific image, let's say that I go for spider web. You can then select images from your Google search. And this is actually something really important. You can click on tools and go usage rights and go Creative Commons licenses. And what's good about these is these are all ones that are free attribution. You know, you don't have to give attribution to the creator. These are all free, high def, in certain cases, images that you can bring into your design. So let's say that I really like this spider web right here and I wanted to bring this in. This is actually a pretty good tip that not a lot of people know you can do. What you could do with really any image on the internet. But again, we're trying to show that good digital citizenship by trying to find stuff that is able to be used without royalties. You can right click on it, go copy image on that pop-up window that shows up. And now back in on this character interview, I can now go Control V or Command V, depending on if I'm on a Mac, resize it, and now I've got that image ready to go. So again, you have an image that you like on the internet, you want to use it in your design, you want to use it on a website or anything else, right click, go copy image. I don't think you see that pop-up window on your part, but I assure you if you right click an image in a Google search, you will get that. And then simply go Command or Control V within your design, and you'll be able to bring in that image. Okay. And what I'll do as well is when we got about maybe 7 minutes left and we're at 15 for the record, I'll show you how you can use animate character to do something pretty dynamic as well with your voice. Okay. Want to make sure I touch on that with you. One other option that you can kind of add some nice text effects. Let's say I wanted to make this interview with Charlotte pop a little bit more compared to just the plain white. You can click on that. Oh, now recommended fonts are showing up. So again, when you click on a set of text and recommended fonts is functioning properly, you actually see what all those different recommended fonts look like. And these are actually taking your design and giving you feedback based on it. So it's actually analyzing your design. But if I wanted to give a little bit more of an emphasis on this title, the left side is the fill of your text. The right side that is right now transparent outline is what will be on the outside of your text. And if I go black, you could see that right out of the gates, it is much more bold and kind of easy to read. You always have that option to click on the dropper and then select any of the colors on your screen. Now I just kind of went with that nice pink, but in the end, I think I'm going to go with the blue on the circle, and I like how that one looks. And then once you get a color that you like for the outline, you can then make that thickness more or less, all the way from 0 to 100. I think 15 is looking good right there. All right, 11 minutes left. Keep me posted if you need anything. We're using the voiceover aspect under media and audio, recording a voiceover. And then with a little bit of time left in this activity, I'll show you the animate characters tool. That's probably the most engaging thing I've seen when it comes to adults and students. You're also more than welcome to add music to your design if you like. By default, this one does not have music. You can go to media, audio, and then search for music if you like. anybody wants to share their screen at all, having any confusion or difficulties, feel free to share your screen. Let me know how I can help. And one more thing, you want to change that background color. Simply click on whichever scene you're looking to change that background color with, and you'll see up top this mint green, depending on the slide you're on. Click on background color and change it to whatever you like. So this was the other generated AI image that I came up with for if you could wish for anything. And I think it was to spend more time with friends. So that was one kind of showing some baby spiders coming out as well. I believe that's how Charlotte's Web ended.
Alex, one question real quick.
Sure, Jose.
What is the best way to kind of like make an audio file, like a recording? You know, you want to describe something that you want to put on the slide.
Mm-hmm.
Can you do that within Adobe?
Sure. So again, you have that ability to record a voiceover by going to media and then audio and then record voiceover. That's one option that you have as far as getting voice into a design. But what you also have is under video, you have record yourself, where you can now see my very sad actual background in my space right here. You can also do it that way, where you bring in an image of yourself or a video of yourself with the new front-facing camera that you can then kind of shrink and move around if you like. And then the other aspect is you can also upload audio from your device. So if you have an MP3 file that you did a voice memo on your phone or anything along those lines, you can bring it in that way as well. And then what I'm going to do, Jose, in about 3 minutes, I'm going to show you how you can bring in an animated character to talk on a slide as well. But those are really the ways to bring audio within an Adobe Express presentation. Did that answer your question?
Yes. One more thing.
Sure.
Can you add like a new audio file on top of the music? Like you don't want to take everything, but just like a segment, just add this file there.
You can. You can have multiple layers. So what I could do is I can kind of zoom out a little bit. Let me do this. So you can see that I've got those little green segments underneath. That's my voice of me kind of doing the interview. If I now go bring this back, so the music starts from the beginning, I'm going to drag that little bar back. And now I'm going to look for, let's go with this bossa nova. You'll see that that music is now kind of layered underneath, where the only thing would be, make sure you bring that volume down for that music so that your voice isn't drowned out, okay? But beyond that, you can layer multiple audio bits within the same design, okay?
Thank you.
Of course, Jose. Appreciate the questions, my friend. About 6 minutes left, everybody. And as I said, in a couple minutes, I'm going to show you the voice or character animate tool that can really give you some great options. something that myself and some of the other attendees in my first session today kind of discovered, that I actually brought in this X and check mark for the do you agree slide, as far as how would people describe you, do you agree? If you go click on that element and then go over to animation, this wobble effect is it's pretty crazy. I kind of like it. I did it for a bobblehead on the previous session. It was a little scary, but just wanted to show you that you do have this ability to even add motion to individual like elements and images. All right, so we got about 3 minutes left. I'm going to pause the timer just because I'm showing you one last thing before we kind of get into finalizing this and then talking about classrooms within Adobe Express. So I'm going all the way back to my opening introduction kind of title slide, okay? And what you'll notice is if I zoom out a bit on that scene, I'm going to get rid of the music. You'll see that I have no voice on that part of this presentation. So now, under media, over on the left side, one more time, you can find this either under videos or audio. And what you will see is you'll have animate characters. When you click on that, you will see all of these different individuals here, all these different creatures, all these different inanimate objects. They are adding new versions monthly. We have special needs students involved for diversity and inclusion. We have all kinds of different characters here that we can choose from. There is actually one that kind of looks like me. Can I find him? There he is. It's Emmerich. Maybe a little bit younger at some point. But I got to say, as far as all of these characters, this is probably the one that looks the most like me. So what I'm going to do is, when you're under animate character, whatever you record up to about 2 minutes, it's going to lip sync with your voice. So, you know, I think of any content area. You have kids create a presentation within Adobe Express, and then they are bringing in their little character to provide those reflection pieces, make their thinking more visible, like we talked about earlier today. You have that opportunity with this tool right here. Now, the only really important thing with this is if you're bringing this into a presentation and you want it to just be the character, under background, you have to make sure that it is transparent, because without that, you're going to have a dungeon or a night hallway or a minimalist beach. And I want that transparent effect so that I can bring this character anywhere and he will still be able to be seen and not kind of clash with an additional background. You have that enhanced speech option that I would always recommend toggling on one more time. And now I'm going to just do a very brief welcome to this presentation. You get the countdown. It's Alex. Welcome to my presentation on Charlotte's Web. Hit done. You'll get those nice little graphics in the top right corner that kind of transition as it's exporting and being created and all of that good stuff. And I'm so upset that I'm not able to actually share audio with this Google Meet today. But if you take the leap to actually try this tool on your own, once I give you these last bits of time, you're going to be able to listen to your character firsthand. So once this is fully exported, this is going to come in as a transparent video within my design, wherever I got it started. So now you will see within this scene, I can now bring Emmerich over here to the corner, which I'm going to do. And again, I assure you, he is talking. He is talking in this scene, but you're not going to hear him most likely. But when I go back and I zoom in on Emmerich, just watch how his mouth is moving and his expressions on his arms and all that kind of stuff. Let's tuck this down. All right, here we go. So I assure you, that was me actually talking, and the lip sync is actually very accurate. Fun fact, I took the football character and talked about how Aaron Rodgers was going to bring a Super Bowl to the New York Jets. He ruptured his Achilles within a week. So I don't know if I have the bad karma when it comes to these voice animators, but I hope that if you choose to do one for your favorite sports team, it doesn't end in catastrophe. So I'm going to give you all the remainder time. If you want to add that character animator, I would recommend put it on the first slide to kind of introduce people to your presentation. But at this point, I'm going to get rid of Emmerich, and I'm going to give everybody those remaining 3 minutes to kind of close out this design. And then we're going to show you how to create a classroom and add an assignment for students. Same thing as before, you're more than welcome to download this as an MP4 or share it as a view-only link. Let's see how this one goes as far as the quickness of creating a view-only link. So I'm just going to let this wait. It seemed like when I refreshed, it actually popped up. So I don't know why there's a little bit of friction going on with this. I wonder if the template is so involved, but I'm just going to let it kind of spin there. We're creating a view-only link, and I did not make this where others could remix it by keeping that toggled off. Okay, so now I see the processing. So it actually was working. It's just taking a bit of time. Okay. I don't know why that processing bar didn't show up before, but that's helpful. All right, and now you can see underneath, the view-only link is live. One thing that I do want to make sure to make abundantly clear, you ever make a public view link on Adobe Express, and then you make a change to your design, and it's already been shared with that link. If you do not go update link, that which basically updates your design with the changes you made, those changes will not be reflected in whatever you shared previously. So you have to be mindful. The slightest change you make, you got to click that update link button once you've made that view only link. And one thing before we switch over to kind of discussing classrooms and all that good stuff, that assign button, keep that one in mind. Keep that one in mind as we get into classrooms. The timer just went off. I actually X'd it out as it hit all zeros. So one more time for anybody looking to share their design or learn how to share their design, you can click that down arrow in the top right corner with the little U underneath and download it as an MP4. But the other option you have is to go to share, go to view only link, and then you'll probably see something a little bit different considering I already created mine. And then if you don't want people to be able to remix this as a template, don't toggle this on. It's off by default. But let's say that you really wanted to share this with students and say, you know, pick another character from Charlotte's Web or whatever book you're reading. You could toggle this on and then share that link with others. Okay. Any questions out there before we get into the next portion of this session? We got about 45 minutes left, just under. We're going to talk about classrooms, let you explore some templates, and then complete a reflection form. And we'll be on our way for day one of the summer symposium. Any questions out there for the greater good right now? What questions do you have, everyone? All right. The hope is that I'm doing that good of a job that we're not actually in need of anything. Okay. So one more time, what I'm going to do, considering I put in a decent amount of time on this earlier, I'm going to drop this link in the chat. where if anybody would like to kind of check out my Charlotte's Web example, you're more than welcome to do so. Okay. So let's exit out of here. We're back in on our main web page. And now we're going to scroll down underneath and we're getting to the bring it to your classroom section. Now, this is the part where it really gets, important. I've shown you some video editing tools. I've shown you how to create a presentation and add in different images and video stock footage and generate with AI. But if we're just doing that to have it stop at the end of these next 40 minutes, we're not going to give those creative opportunities for our students to make more visual projects, more visual activities that will help others be engaged and learn more effectively. So the real aspect here is we're going to show you now how to create your class and then invite students to it. So the good thing is we can create your class, actually make an assignment for your students, and then add them after the fact. And another nice aspect that I'm happy to share is I believe you guys are Google Classroom. Adobe Express has a Google Classroom integration where it syncs beautifully with importing classes and exporting assignments. Okay, now you have 2 videos here that are made by the Adobe Evangelist team. But for us, all I'm going to do is I'm going to go learn how to set up a classroom. It'll bring us to the Learn tab, a video within the Learn tab. And considering I'm here, I'm going to click on that Adobe Gradient Rainbow A in the top left corner. And we're going to start from the main home page. Now, just really quick before we get into classrooms, Adobe recently redesigned this homepage. Your most recent designs will pop up underneath or in your stuff. And then you have 3 tabs above, Create, Teach, or Edit. If you kind of decide which aspect of using this tool you want to do, you have multiple quick actions underneath that you can select from, such as editing a PDF or converting a video to a GIF. You have many different excellent options to make dynamic materials within just these 3 tabs. Okay. So what we are going to do is select the Classrooms icon. And I'm going to actually delete my sample class. Now, what I will say is, I shared this with the earlier group. I'm very passionate about EdTech. I know a lot of different platforms and how to get rostered with them. This is about as easy as it gets as far as a heavy lift. It's not that. It's actually extremely easy and self-explanatory to get up and running on this platform as far as creating your class. You can either click this button up top or this purple one underneath and go create class. So I'm going to go Isaac's Math, and I'm going to go that's enough. I'm just going to go Isaac's Math. Now, if your content area is actually within that drop down underneath, I would recommend selecting it. And I also recommend doing it both in your class name and the subject, because what's going to happen is if you select a subject, you're actually going to get an animated tile for your class based on that content area. And I'm going to say grade 8, and I'm going to say D1. The only required bit of information for creating your class is the name. So if you do not want to add all that other stuff, you do not have to. Once you're set, click Save. And now what you'll see is this Import a Roster option with the Google Classroom icon underneath. That is going to allow you to, as long as you're logged in with the same credentials on your Adobe Express account as you are on Google Classroom, it's going to allow you to import students into your class. Now, let's say for some reason that's not working very effectively for you and your kids. You are more than able to simply click Copy Class Invite Link and paste that into your LMS or email or whatever you'd like to share that with your students. And now if I go to Classrooms, you will see when I hover over this math tile, the calculator actually moves a bit, and it's cueing me in on the fact that that's a math class for me. Okay, so that's kind of how I would recommend setting up your classes. Okay, and one more time, you can click on your class, go add students, and then you have so many different options. I would recommend the Google Classroom integration if that is your LMS. Now, I'm going to show you how to create an assignment from the class, and I'm also going to show you how to create an assignment with a shortcut. So let's say from here, I would say every single person in this lobby right now could tell me how to create an assignment from this page. And it is using this button right here or this one in the top right corner. Once again, the only aspects that are required for this one are an assignment title and your class that you have to select. If I don't want a due date, you don't have to put one in. You don't want to do instructions, you don't have to. I would definitely recommend it. You could always add translated instructions in here if you like. And now the gallery. That's actually kind of an important thing to talk about a little bit before I let you all kind of explore and create your own classes and assign something if you like. What gallery is going to allow you and students to do is see each other's creations and provide feedback to them. So if the idea of a digital gallery walk appeals to you, if the idea of building that agency in students appeals to you, because I could speak to my kids when I started showing their work to blocks 1, 2, and 3, and not just their own or nobody, they kind of said, oh, I need to go back. I noticed something. And they were giving good feedback to one another. And these were 8th graders who, at certain points in my math class, they would struggle with the materials depending on how much time they put into their homework or studying. So it really, I saw it firsthand, that pride in work kind of go up significantly using a tool like Adobe Express. So to save us time, I'll put the gallery on, but I'm going to keep the instructions blank. And now from this page, you can either go to your stuff and select something you created as an assignment, or you can go to project types. And I'll show you, like, what this is it's students are going to be brought to a blank canvas, but on the left side of their screen, they're going to have examples. They're going to have template activities for these types of designs. So if you wanted your kids to make a poster, simply click on that right there, hit next, and then go assign. But anyway, before that, let's go student view. And let's go start assignment. The buttons for demonstrate, your students will not be able to interact. Unfortunately, it doesn't look like I'm going to be able to show you that as a sample. But I assure you, what's going to happen is on that left side panel, you'll get all templates relating to posters. Click assign. And now you'll see that your assignment is live. Again, you want to embed this into your Google Classroom, you could do that. What's really nice about this screen when students start working on the activity is you will see blue, magenta, green, and red, depending on their status. Turned in progress, returned, where you've given feedback or asking them to make changes, and then not started. I could speak for myself where I helped out a media specialist at an elementary school in my school district around Crayola Creativity Week, and being able to sit behind the counter while in small group and kind of just view the progress of the students in the class with color coding and everything else, it was very helpful to me. So one last time, clicking on classrooms, creating your class, and then adding an assignment. But the other way that I would definitely recommend is going into Adobe Express. Let's say, all right, I'm going to go into Educator Resources. And let's say, you know what, that bearded man, he did enough to make me convinced I'm going to, at the very least, do this personalized name tent activity with my kids. I'm going to print it out in color. I'm going to do it on cardstock. I'm going to really get to know my kids and have them make a dynamic name tent, okay? Again, you'll see that you have the video instructions over here on the right side. And what you could do, I told you earlier, keep that assign button in mind. I can now click assign right here, simply add a title, select my class, decide whether I want a gallery on or not. I'm going to turn this one off, and then simply go create link. And now this activity will be live, where if I go back into my math class, you will now see the math tent activity available as well. One last thing before I let you kind of explore a bit. One of the newest things that Adobe has also added is this ability to create a gallery. And this is where students can add text, generate images, or add files within this space as a one-stop shop to kind of explore everyone's work outside of those galleries for an assignment. Okay? So at this point, I'm going to let you all explore. If you want an additional video walkthrough on how to create a class or otherwise, feel free to go to the Learn tab and then select this Get Started with Classrooms option, okay? But I think you're all going to be able to do this. I don't know if you've already got your schedules for the new year, but you probably know at the very least your grade level and how many blocks you're going to be teaching or periods you're going to be teaching. So at the very least, I would recommend everybody out there, create that one class, at least one section to give it a try at first, and then add one assignment that you feel would engage your students. And I would make it a getting to know you type of activity. Let them get started in a fun way compared to something that is curricular in nature. But at this point, I'm going to give you all about 10 minutes to kind of explore creating your own class, maybe a little bit less, because I also want to show you templates. Creating your class and then hopefully adding an assignment as well. So this is all from the Adobe Express homepage. Click that rainbow gradient A, and you'll be brought right back. So I'm just going to stick on the Classrooms tab. And by the end of your time kind of exploring, I'm going to get rid of this gallery underneath. You should have at least one activity that's kind of looking very inviting for your students once they join your class. Please keep me posted if you need anything on this step. And once we're done with this aspect, I'll show you some templates and then we'll get into our reflection. And day one of the symposium will be complete. Just to clarify once more, again, that Learn tab, those are video walkthroughs that are very brief, bite-sized kind of quick PD videos. And then the Educator Resources, those are standard align templates and ideas, along with those guided activities that have the video instructions embedded right in.
Alex,
Yes, Jose.
I noticed that my classes from last year are here.
Mm-hmm.
With C, which I'm assuming is clever, and I didn't create those. So,
Yes. So what I would say, Jose, is probably your clever system is like combined with your SIS, which is your student information system. It's probably still pulling information from last year. Those should update once the new calendar year kind of kicks off and the new schedule kicks off.
so should I wait then, or should I create my classes right now? Maybe
I mean,
should
you could try one to see if it's allowing you to bring in your current classes through. Is it giving you there's no clever integration for that, right? It's only Google Classroom as far as importing.
I'm not sure.
But what's happening is you're seeing all your clever class tiles from last year. Is that correct?
Correct.
All right.
And
So
I
I mean,
didn't create those.
does it give you the option to delete them or no?
I don't know how to go about deleting a class.
So what you should be able to do under the Classrooms tab, Jose, is if you click on the three dots in the top right corner and go edit, do you get the option to delete right there or no?
Yes, I do.
How many classes do you have listed through Clever?
Mm, all my classes from last year.
Okay. So if it's overwhelming amount of deleting, I wouldn't bother with that just yet. I would probably wait to see if Clever kind of kicks in. At the same time, you could still complete a class, create your class, add an assignment just so that you have those steps under your belt. And then once those new classes get set up for you, all you'll have to do is make the assignment and you'll be good to go. Because it seems like your classes are being pre-created with your Clever accounts.
Okay.
All right, Jose. Thanks again. So we're going to show you templates. I'm going to definitely show you the translate option because that's one of the things that I'm most passionate about is making inclusive and accessible materials for bilingual, multilingual learners and their families. So we'll give everybody about 1 to 2 more minutes to kind of close out on your classrooms, creating that assignment to share with your kids. It sounds like you've got Clever integration, so your classes might already be there. Hopefully those update sooner than later with your new schedule. All right. Let's take a few more seconds out there. Again, educator resources are those guided activities and standard aligned classroom design options for whatever subject you'd like from this drop down. Now within that sidebar from the Adobe Express homepage, when we're not in on a design, you also have the option to click on this templates button over here on the left side. And what's going to happen here is it's going to allow you to really drill down very granularly, what type of template, what type of activity you're looking for your kids. Now, if you're looking for purely guided activities, you wanted to only include those video instructions built right in, you could do that by checking off that guided activity over on the left side. If you are interested in a great getting to know you activity, this identity graphic right here in the light blue with Adrian with his arms kind of out, that is an excellent way to kick off the school year, getting to know your students. I had brought up in the previous session, print those out for back to school night, put them on a bulletin board. Families would be absolutely thrilled to see that as they walk through the halls near your classroom. So let's say that we're not looking for a guided activity. I'm looking for an infographic template for science, and I want this to be high school. You now see all of these different curated options available to you, where you will see if it's got this little button in the bottom left corner that shows multiple pages. Considering this is infographics, you're not going to really have any video templates. And let's say that you like a bunch and you don't quite know what to do with them just yet. You can click on that favorite heart, and that will go directly to your favorites within Adobe Express. So really what this portion of the session is all about, before we kind of close out with a little reflection form, is in your content area where you are finding a template that would be appropriate either for you to take and remix or for you to share with your kids for them to change. So you even have stuff as far as like plant cell anatomy. But what I'm going to do here is I want to show off that translation feature. So I'm going to click on, let's clear everything. Actually, let's just go back to templates. All right. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to use this search bar up top, because if you really want to just search for something specific, you could do that. Let's go back to school night. I mean, take a look at how easy, that was to just find some good stuff right here. So I like the look of this one, this example right here. And again, I promise I'm going to be quiet. I'll let you all explore the templates for at least, 10 minutes so you can find something that's appropriate for you. Once you click on the template and you think you like it, go to Customize Template. And now this is a tool that really separates Adobe Express compared to other design platforms. So I'm sure we have many multilingual, bilingual, emerging bilingual students within our classes at Salinas. So this is a translation tool that is not only very easy to use, but it's also going to allow for that accessibility, that inclusivity for our students and their families. This is the biggest passion. This was actually my goal as a tech coach for my last school year, providing accessible and inclusive materials to multilingual learners and their families. So this always brings me joy to kind of share this tool with everybody I kind of come in contact with Adobe Express. Once you have a template with any text boxes involved, as you could see right here, you're going to see above this translate button right here. And when you click translate, you'll see that all the text on the page is highlighted. You could do multiple pages if your design has more than one. But what really does separate Adobe Express is this ability to say, all right, I'm going Spanish, but I'm also going to go Portuguese. And you know what? I'm going to go Ukraine as well. I have students who speak all three of those languages in my current school district. And now what's going to happen is, actually, let's do Chinese too, traditional. Why not? We're going to click translate, and in less than maybe 7 seconds, not even, we're going to find out. Now I'm going to probably put my foot in my mouth. No, it was probably less than 5 seconds. What I love about this is you now have separate pages where if I double click on one, I can now scroll through. You have the language up top in parentheses, and you have all of the different aspects, including not capitalizing the days of the week and month and all of that kind of stuff. So this is just such a simple way to make our materials more inclusive, make students feel more welcome within your classroom. I looked at the demographics. I think I saw about 90% Hispanic Latino in Salinas County. So I think that if nothing else, I think you have a great opportunity to speak to your students a little bit more effectively. And I'm sure some of us are already doing an amazing job translating materials, making newsletters for families. But this is just such a low lift way of really making some elevated materials for students and their guardians. So just wanted to really share that with you at this point. One more time, I'm going to give everybody about 10 minutes or so, maybe a little bit less, to go under the template section and explore, go by subject. You can even view more for visual art and design and extracurricular. Go by grade level if you want to go by what's most appropriate. You can even go to mood if you wanted to have like a groovy kind of graphic or something like that. You can even go that route. So I'm going to give you some time to explore. It even says it up here, templates, and you can even use that search bar all the way up top if you choose to do so to try to find something even more specific. So I'm going to give you some time. I'll probably go till about maybe, well, I guess for you guys, it would be 3:07, 3:06. And then we'll close out, kind of talk about housekeeping and get you a reflection form. We'll call it a day. Love the math in the real world template. That would have been one that I would have loved to explored with my kiddos. And just one other thing, I know we had some math teachers in here. If any of you are doing math talks where you're kind of projecting a graphic or an image of something in the real world and you're asking kids to either say which one doesn't belong or how many squares are present or what do you notice, what do you wonder, that kind of stuff. I still remember the math talks. You can use that generative AI tool to really kind of create some very unique and specified prompts. And just specifically for me, I created an overhead view of a city map when going over different angle types, complementary, supplementary, all that, opposite, interior. And it actually did a really great job with the roads doing 2 parallel lines and a transversal. So didn't want to go too far into the math stuff for anybody else out there, but you do have some great options with regardless of your content area, especially for a fun and engaging bell ringer. Any writing or ELA teachers out there, you can make a wonderful picture prompt for students to create a narrative to.
Can you use the AI to create content, like develop an idea? Would it help you with that, or just images?
So at this point, it's really images, Jose. I can tell you really quickly, like let's say that I go to generate an image here. So a dog riding a skateboard. Let's do it. And we'll go generate. One thing that I can share with you, so Jose, yes, it's kind of only images, but talking about building off of something or talking about an idea where, wow, that is a very psychedelic dog right there going into like the future. What you can do is you can click on this composition where if you want the generated image to look like like if I had my fist up in the air and I wanted that for my generated image, you could add that to composition. And if you wanted like a style of like a realistic photograph or, some painting that you did, you could upload an image into that. And then your generated image would kind of be similar to that one. So as far as like building up ideas with text and generative text, don't have that yet as far as Adobe Express, my friend, but good question. Yeah, these are some dogs right here. Wow, that guy looks like he's on fire. I think this one's the best one. I actually like that one. And then we can go set background. I love it. Very fancy and festive. All right. I'll give everybody about 3-4 more minutes to explore those templates. And then we'll close out. One other thing I can share before we kind of wrap up here from this main Adobe Express homepage, if you're looking through the Create, Teach, and Edit tabs, and you're not seeing quite what you're looking for as far as a quick action goes, this purple plus button in the top left corner provides you with all quick actions. And if you wanted to then say like a poster, you could then look up here and then you can see this browse templates available to you right here with all of these different poster options and different layouts. So you can also look for materials that way as well. It looks like we've reached the end of the secondary web page. So we've shown you how to set up your classroom and assign something. We had you record your voice today in that presentation with a self-interview. We also had you create a silent film. So all that little bit of learning that you did today, how can you reflect on that and now take this into your practice? Are you going to try a guided activity with your kids in the first week? I would tell you again, firsthand, groups of kids that needed to be engaged right out of the gates with me in my middle school math class. This was a platform that did that. So I hope that at least some of you take that leap to say, all right, I'm going to assign this to you. You've got a video set of instructions over on the right side because I chose a guided activity, and I want to get to know you even more this year. I hope you take advantage of that opportunity. Okay. So we've brought it to our classroom. We're heading back to the main session webpage. And we come back here just to get to the thank you portion. So just to make sure everybody knows, you complete this feedback form at the end. You're going to get credit for attending. I believe it also has to do with the registration link that I dropped in the chat at the beginning of today's session. You should receive your badge within 7 working days in an email through Credly. I would tell you, don't stop here. Go for Adobe level 1 and level 2. If you feel like, hey, I would like to train people on this platform. I want to develop my skills for my students and myself, and maybe my teams, show them what they can do with this design suite. Okay, so the last aspect, the Adobe Creative Educator community. If you are in any educational communities, any interest in EdTech, Facebook communities, I would definitely recommend either scanning that QR code or clicking here in order to find out more about the ACE community. It is a supportive one, brilliant individuals coming up with different ways to use the Adobe Creative Cloud tools in all different content areas. They gave you another web page here with exclusive perks, next steps, all these kinds of things. You can see we all earned these lovely baseball jackets that were personalized last year. They actually flew out innovators to San Francisco, San Jose, and New York in the last couple of years for the final event to kind of celebrate everybody. So this is a really wonderful community that allows for growth and eventually the ability to train others if you choose to want to do that. So I would definitely recommend checking out that resource as well. But at this point, I've got this tiny URL to drop into the chat. And this is your reflection form and feedback form. I would love for you to let me know how I did, even though I believe these are all going to Jen. I hope you found the 2 hours and change to be very meaningful and engaging and quick moving. I'm going to stick around until about 6:15 or the last attendees in the lobby with me. I am here to answer questions, provide any feedback, anything you need before that 6:15 ending of the second set of session. Adrian, I appreciate the laughter throughout, but I'm going to stick around here for the next 6 minutes or so. You need anything, feel free to drop it in the chat or hop off of mute. Very appreciative of the feedback throughout today's session. I hope you found it valuable. Please let me know if there's anything I can do to help. And I have 2 more sessions going on tomorrow, teaching math with Adobe Express and infographics with Adobe Express. If the cut of my jib interests you for another day, another session, feel free to join me tomorrow. I've got a 10 o'clock and a 1 o'clock your time tomorrow. But wishing you all a wonderful night, and I'll talk to you again soon.